Pocatello.
It was basically to do what was done.
I abducted a young girl from a junior high school.
It was just hours before Ted Bundy was scheduled to die in Florida's electric chair. He'd been convicted of killing 2 college co-eds and a little girl. But now facing death, Bundy was spilling his guts about all his other victims. Victims the cops didn't even know about.
Don't recall a name, the name of the young lady. But she was in her early teens, long brown hair. Wearing blue jeans is about all I can remember for sure.
Robert Keppel was the investigator who got Bundy to come clean. For 5 years, he'd been corresponding with Bundy while the killer was behind bars, gradually earning his trust. And when Ted Bundy finally decided to confess the whole story, it was Keppel he called.
That was his whole M.O. at the time, was to only talk about missing person murders, where you hadn't found the body, because then you could rush out, find the remains, demonstrate how Ted was being honest and truthful by finding the remains, and then maybe that would have some effect on the governor of Florida and hopefully stay his execution. That was his whole plan.
One by one, Ted Bundy told Keppel's team of investigators about all the other girls he'd kidnapped, tortured, and murdered. He told them where the bodies were buried. And in just a few hours, Bundy did what years of painstaking police work couldn't do. He closed a string of unsolved murders across America.
He confessed that he murdered 31 people. But I really feel that this guy probably has killed at least 50 and maybe 75.
One of Bundy's newly discovered victims was Lynnette Culver, a beautiful, energetic 12-year-old girl. Al and Carol Culver had moved from Seattle, Washington to Pocatello, Idaho. They thought small-town life would be safer for their 3 kids.
There aren't any bad people in the small towns, right?
But then, one spring day in 1974, Lynnette did not come home from school. Friends said Lynnette had run away, and just that morning, she and her mom had been arguing.
She said, "What if I didn't come home tonight?" And I just said, "Oh, you will. You'll be okay." And I should have picked up on that, but I didn't.
Blaming herself, Carol Culver had no idea her daughter had been abducted. Ted Bundy would hold the secret for 14 years, until the day he finally confessed.
I stayed in a Holiday Inn in Pocatello. I abducted a young girl from a junior high school. I encountered her at a time when she was leaving the school grounds to meet someone at lunchtime.
The night before he killed Lynnette Culver, he had gone to the Idaho State University campus in a dormitory and was ejected. It was clear that he was on a hunting trip when he came to Pocatello.
She was wearing a jacket of some kind, but nothing really loud color. It wasn't a bright color. A pullover top, blue jeans, and shoes, not boots, but shoes of some kind.
The only justification that I can give for that grade of recall is that Bundy must have replayed that event, if you will, time after time after time.
Her body was placed in the river, probably the Snake River.
He was something bad that happened to someone else. And I guess basically that's why I'm here, is that so you can tell people where it happens, anywhere and to anyone.
Back then, the Culvers chose not to listen to Bundy's last-minute confession. 15 years later, Carol Culver still can't bring herself to hear it. The pain, as fresh as yesterday.
I've never listened to his voice, and I never will, because it's Lynnette that should go down in history.
But when Carol left the room, her husband Al and daughter Nancy decided it was time. They decided to listen to what their daughter's and sister's killer had to say.
She made a comment indicating that either she lived with her grandmother or the grandmother lived with her family. Another comment indicating that perhaps they were thinking of moving to another house.
Well, all those things were true for Lynnette at that point in time. Society should stop accepting excuses from Ted Bundy. Each one of us makes choices in our life, and we shouldn't be allowed to explain them away with things as superfluous as pornography or bad parents or poor potty training.
For Ted Bundy, the decision to finally confess to twice as many crimes as police ever believed he committed was a desperate last-ditch attempt to dodge his date with death. And he held out more tantalizing tidbits to police, hinting at more information if his execution was delayed.
It wasn't to cleanse or clear his soul. It was, he wanted more time.
But the ploy didn't work. The families of his victims saw to it that Ted Bundy got what was coming to him.
He was executed on my birthday, and so that was my birthday present, I guess, that year. But after that, I prepared an obituary, and we had it in the paper here.
The Culvers left the quiet town where they lost their daughter. Nancy Culver stayed, married, and kept the family phone number.
The phone number, I guess, was really the lantern in the window that you don't want to extinguish, right? That little flicker of hope. And the phone number is still the same, and I don't know if I'll ever change it.
She was a neat enough person and enough energy that I would still hope the world hadn't been deprived of her. We weren't the only ones that lost Lynnette. She was a loss to everyone.
Lynnette Culver's obituary was simple. Rest peacefully, sweet child, wherever you are. You will be in our minds and hearts forever.